Hi everyone, your lecturer for this course is me. You can call me Sam, but without uncle. This is the first lecture of how to analyze road or highway project items for tenders and cost control. This is an introduction. Unfortunately, until today, there is no adequate or healing sources, whether from engineering books or even from YouTube, especially in road projects, cover such a vital issue. Yes, it is a vital and serious too. And from the author's point of view, whether it is right or wrong, I like to call it priceology. For it has significant value simply because it is closely linked to the profit or loss and is not limited only to the contracting, but it is science applied to all types of financial dealing, including banks, all kind of commerce, trading, industry, agriculture, health, education, etc. Or precisely, it is a one of main axes of business. About this course, the topic of the course, price analysis of road project items for tenders and cost control. Our target for this course are young technical office engineer, site engineers, surveyors, and probably site manager. The course style. Since the lecturer experience were in Gulf and in the Middle East region, the pricing will be for Saudi in the Egyptian pound. The audience must replace the Egyptian pound in the currency of their country as well as the values of taxes and deductions. Our course program will be identifying who is the price analyst, basics of price analysis, and start of item samples price analysis, including item stipulation, method of statement, and finally mathematical price analysis in Excel sheet. Who is the price analyst? He is a civil engineer, or more precisely, a road engineer, whose experience varied between the site and the technical office. His job name is pricing engineer or studies engineer. His experiences are within 5 or 10 years, which is sufficient period to enable him to obtain multiple and different experiences in method of statement for implementing as many items as possible for road project, which is highly helpful for pricing. A condition that should be fulfilled to the price analyst: the ability to work under high pressure for long hours throughout the day. The place of work must be in the main office, not in the site office, in order to keep secret what he is doing during analysis or while making contacts with the supplier or lessors or those related to the issue, as well as the possibility of working quietly and focus away from the site noise. A patient personality. And the most important thing is that the confidentiality of his work is a priority, especially during the study of the tenders, and he must not talk much about the project under the study. Scientific mentality skill that has the ability to analyze and load the sub items to the same units as the basic main item, meter long, meter square, meter cubic, etc. Background to the laboratory and basic material tests and the limits of the specification of materials, validity, and their properties. Familiarity to the equipment operating rates and fuel consumption. Reasonable experience of surveying work. Skill in calculating quantities and wastes of all items. Familiarity to the Microsoft Office programs, especially Excel. Ability to work with AutoCAD and Civil 3D program. Familiarity to the road design, especially geometric design or horizontal and vertical alignment. Familiarity to the general specification, country code, H2, and any recent. The ability to communicate to the relevant, whether they are in the company's project size or suppliers, lessors, and subcontractors. Preferably create a good relationship, for it may have a positive impact to the supply's pricing rate. It is very important to keep and archive their database, their addresses of their headquarters, their cell phones, their previous and current supplies rates to the finished or in ongoing projects. Actions to be taken before tender pricing. It is necessary to expedite the purchase of the tender documents as soon as it is issued or announced, so that there will be a sufficient time to study and analyze from the moment of purchase to the time of opening the technical envelope. Because the delay means a lack of time remaining, and therefore it will make a kind of pressure on the pricing engineer, and it may lead to a lack of focus, which may affect the pricing work. Pricing engineer must perform the following immediately once he received the tender documents. Photocopying tender documents. It is preferable to have two copies of the empty BOQ for preliminary study, and this should be done with a great care during the copying process so that the original papers are not mixed or damaged, which may lead to excluding the contractor from the competition. instructing the financial department in the company to prepare uh, the bed bond or bank warranty letter at least 72 working hours before the due date of opening the envelopes, while giving them all the data related to the letter of warranty and its value stipulated in the tender document conditions. Making soft and hard archiving files for the project documents, and all the projects are under study. The engineer reviews the tender conditions, read the contract and general or special specifications, if any, and record the critical points. Make sure if there any attachments like drawings, instructions, circulars, letters. Initial reviewing the BOQ quickly to identify the item types and their number on which a site inspection can be done on their basis. The preparation of a short list of these items as well as relevant supplies for each items and their amount of quantity for the purpose of price negotiation with the suppliers. Identifying the location of the project to be studied through its coordinates on the attached drawings or by inquiring the locations from the owner in order to visit project site for inspection. If it is not clear or not mentioned, inquire and make sure the percentage of taxes, added values, stamps, and insurance to be fully aware of all formal or official deductions which are supposed to be clear in the tender document. This is highly important and urgent, for it has significant effect to the total item price rate. The engineer should not be confused between the deductions and the retention that will be returned to the contractor sooner or later. This retention has no relation to the pricing process. Site inspection of the project under study. Before the pricing engineer proceed to study or analyze prices, he must inspect the project site. This procedure that most contractors underestimate is one of the most important measures upon which the study and the pricing are built, especially in the large or mega project. The professional companies that know and appreciate the importance of inspection provide all possibilities and facilities for the pricing engineer, starting with forming what look like an inspection committee with all the facilities as follows. Pricing engineer himself as a head of the committee, a material engineer with his labor and equipment, hand tools, bag, etc. A surveyor with excellent experience working on the total station with two well-trained laborers. Two four-wheel cars to inspect the rough places. It may take a few days, depending on the road length, especially in the mega project. It may require the availability of motor loader with the committee to or renting one nearby the inspection area. Although it is relatively expensive, but the whole tendering process is just like gambling. The material engineer investigates the soils or material inspection here or there to identify relatively the soil classification and validity. The better way to conduct inspection. Through the data available in the tender documents related to the coordinates of the road axis, the surveyor set out the axis of the road every certain distance. Let it be every 500 or according to the instructions of the pricing engineer or material engineer. The accuracy in this case is not required because the purpose is just to know the path and the location of the road approximately that help in identifying critical station which shows, for example, the location of the apparent rock bed, their heights or approximate quantities. The notes should be recorded by the material engineer about estimating its hardness, as well as the initial observation about the whole material suitable or unsuitable for backfilling and its limit of validity. The nature of the project land and the ease or difficulty to reach the area should be studied and recorded. Is it a rocky or sandy area that may cause the slowness of the equipment during work, which may affect the implementation rates and consequently pricing rates? In inspecting the location of public dumps and their distances from the furthest or closest point to the path of the road is must. In the case of rock existence in the large quantities in the area surrounding the project, regardless of its existence on the path of the road under study, it is necessary to verify the possibility of providing a crusher working in the area in case we have a good type of rock product. The material engineer is basically responsible in identifying and evaluating these issues. Making a little digs or excavation on both sides of road track to take samples for each specific area or whenever the material engineer senses the change in the nature of material from one area to another and recording all of that in his notes for the purpose of providing a detailed inspection report. Searching for water supply resources and their locations and costs identified by their suppliers. Identifying the nearest asphalt or concrete patch plants owned by the contractor from the project site under study. And are there other plants close to the site in the area? If yes, the price rates of their suppliers should be aware that. Are there sources of electricity or regular water connection, and what is the possibility to establish a camp or accommodation area for working staff. Is there a plot of land, for example, located in the appropriate location that can be rented for this purpose? What is the cost of this rent? Who is the lessor and how to contact him? Are there a residential area nearby, possible to rent apartment for working staff or even to make temporary branch of a company headquarters for both the contractors and the supervision team? What is the degree of urbanization and population living in the area? Are there workshops, restaurants, groceries, or food staff resources? Does the project site is in some circumstances in need to a detour at the expense of the contractor or not? Are there any obstacles on path of the road such as electricity towers, light poles, houses, cemeteries, etc.? Is there a mobile network coverage in the area and what are the best network that provide a good communication without interruption or interference? Or we have to use a wireless contacts? And will it be allowable by the authorities to be used in this area or not? That was an introduction which is basically describe the price analyst qualifications, duty, and his job description. It's a long time now. Uh, we'll meet again next lecture. We will continue this issue, God well. By the way, I'm asking for a mercy from all audience for any English mistakes. I have never spoken English since I left Parsons Company at 2015. Thank you for being my audience. We'll meet again next lecture.